Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome to Four Towers Films. And this is the Amazing Race season 31. Can't believe it's been on this long, but you know, it's a good show. Anyway, this is the recap, and this Amazing Race is a little bit different because it's actually combining teams from the three major CBS reality shows. Amazing Race itself, Survivor, and Big Brother, which is interesting because they're all competitors and that. So basically, there's 11 teams. I'll give you the breakdown. I have some notes on it. The breakdown is teams from Amazing Race are Art and JJ from season 20. Then we have Colin and Christy from season 5. Becca and Floyd from season 29, Leo and Jamal or Afghanimals from season 23 and 24, which was the All Stars. And we have Tyler and Corey from season 28. So you think the Amazing Race might just have an advantage here. Then Survivor contestants are Chris and Brett from Survivor Millennials versus Gen X. Corrine and Eliza from Survivor Gabon and Survivor Caramon. Also Survivor Vanuatu and Survivor Micronesia. So they've both been on 2 each. Then Rupert and Laura from Survivor Pearl Islands, Survivor All-Star, Survivor Hero versus Villains, Blood versus Water, and they're both on Blood versus Water. Rupert's been on 4 Survivors. Then we have the Big Brother teams, Janelle and Brittany from Big Brother 6 and Big Brother 7 All-Stars and Big Brother 14. And then Brittany was on Big Brother 12 and Big Brother 14. Rachel and Alyssa from Big Brother 12 and 13. Rachel was also an Amazing Race season 20 and the All-Star season 24. And Alyssa was on Big Brother 15. And then we have Nicole and Victor from Big Brother 16, Big Brother 18. Nicole and Victor was on Big Brother 18. That's actually where they met. So the teams start off on the beach at Hermosa Beach in Los Angeles, and they're basically talking trash to each other. Phil says, which teams has the advantage, and of course the Amazing Racers are like, oh, of course they do, because they've run the race before. Survivors are like, oh, it's going to be us, because it's hard to be on an island, and Big Brother, because they're saying it's a strategic game. And the Racers are like, all you had to do was be on an island, and all you had to do was sit in a house. We actually had to run around the world. So basically, I'm thinking the Racers, the ones who've done it before, like Rachel and Matt has done Amazing Race before, are probably going to have an advantage with this because they already know what to expect. So Phil says go. They have to find their first clue, and it's in a big giant sand sculpture. It looks kind of like an octopus. So they all run over and they're digging to this giant sand sculpture for the first clue. So they all get their clue, and their first destination is Tokyo, Japan. And they all take off and head to the airport, and they're all basically there at the same time, really. And the thing is, the one team was Corinne and Eliza, were basically trash talking everybody, saying that Nicole and Victor were team dum-dum, Rachel's useless without Brandon, and that Rupert's too old for this, and that, they have this made, but they kind of flashbacks of when they were on Survivor and more or less doing the same thing, kind of thing, when they were on Survivor as they were doing here. So they all get to Tokyo, and they have to make it to, it's called, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Shibuya, which is the world's most populous intersection. You've seen it on TV. It's very famous, Heart of Tokyo. They also call it the Scramble, basically, and it like everybody gets to walk at the same time when the lights go. It's basically they head there. So they get their clues. A couple of them got lost along the way. So even though some got there before others were getting behind because they got lost because they lost which direction they had to go. They're having trouble finding people who spoke English, which I was talking to Doug 218 who watched it together, and we thought it was interesting that in such a popular area, especially Tokyo, it's a heavy tourist area of Tokyo, especially, that there would be more people that could speak even a little bit of English because we've watched a lot of streamers and stuff out of Tokyo or out of Japan, and a lot of people actually speak even a little bit of English there. So we thought it was kind of interesting that they were having trouble finding people who could speak English or even knew what they were talking about because they had to go to get their next clues. They found the clue boxes. So they had two places that they could go to. One was a restaurant, Tokyo, and the other one was like a locksmithing kind of place or something. I forget what the name of it is. AJ Locks or something, or a storage place, I think it was. I'm trying to see it in the notes where they had to go. But they only had a couple of clues per place. So if you went to the one and they didn't have any more, they would say no more clues. They had to go to the other one. And that actually happened to a couple of teams. And so it really brought them behind. It happened to Corinne and Eliza. I believe it also happened to Rupert and Laura. And they actually had to go to, I think they went to Tokyo, and they actually had to go to the other place. And they had a heck of a time trying to find it. They got lost. So anyway, they got their clues. And they had the roadblock. And the roadblock it was like, it looked like a shoe museum, and it was like sandals. And it's based on popular Japanese game shows there. And they show kind of a clip of it where they have to decide between, or they have to like bite down on all the sandals to see if it was wood or chocolate, and they had to find the chocolate sandal. And then both of them had to eat the chocolate off the sides of the sandal to get their next clue. So I believe it was Jamal and Leo, I believe, were the first ones to arrive there. And they actually did really well. They were the first to leave. And so subsequent teams came after them. And some of them had a lot more trouble than others. Art and JJ had a heck of a time. They were there for quite a while. So was Corinne and Eliza. So they were like falling further and further back out of the pack while other teams went through it pretty quickly. Like Janelle got through it pretty fast. She was the one, excuse me, who did it for their team. And they got their next clue and they headed out. So they got to, it was like another roadblock. And the roadblock for this was climb Mount Fuji. And it was based on yet another Japanese game show. And it was like not the real Mount Fuji, but like a blow up kind of Mount Fuji thing that there's nothing to hang on to. It's all slippery. And they had these costumes like this unitard and this green kind of wig thing that they were wearing. And they had to climb up to get the clue, which is at the top. It was stuck to the top part there on it. So And of course, the one who did the sandal one, the other team member had to do the Mount Fuji climb. So the teams who got there first, a lot of them actually did it pretty quickly. Like they did a couple times up, and then they were basically what they were doing is holding on to some of the material that had kind of folded over, which was smart because they're using its handholds and pulling themselves up. So again, the Afghanimals got out of there pretty quickly and got their clue, and then they're heading to the pit stop. So the other ones in succession, kind of almost to really when they got there. So there really wasn't much of a change in order until the back of the pack. So the back of the pack ended up being Art and JJ, Corinne and Eliza, and Rupert and Laura. And because a lot of them were having trouble at the sandal thing. So Corinne and Eliza got there, I think, ahead or around the same time Art and JJ did. And I think it was JJ who was having trouble, who had to do it. No, it was Art. And he was trying to, because JJ did the sandal. So he just couldn't get up there. And he had actually said earlier on in the show that he had lost a lot of weight and he was in better shape than he was the previous time they did it. And they were the Border Patrol agents that whole season when they did the Heroes edition of Amazing Race. And they actually came in second place. So they did really well the first time. But he was having a really hard time. The thing is, he just couldn't kind of get past, not even halfway up. He kept sliding down. It looked like he was going to make it, sliding down. And then at one point, he ended up with a Charlie horse in his leg, and they had to actually bring in a medic. And they sprayed, I guess, some like cool or warmth to kind of loosen the muscle that had cramped on his legs. He just couldn't move. He was in agony. So Corinne and Eliza basically passed them, and they ended up at the pit stop. And so behind them was Rupert and Laura, who were lost, because again, in the park where they had to go. They were sitting, like, looking around. They had no idea where they were going to go for about 2 hours. And they're looking, there's like this big map of the park, and they're reading that. And so finally they found where they were going anyway. And they showed up, and Art was kind of taking a bit of a break. No, they took a penalty because he just couldn't get up there. So they decided he's not going to get there. And actually, JJ was getting more frustrated. And you could see it more and more that he just couldn't get himself up. But Art couldn't get up. So they decided, we're going to take a penalty, 4-hour penalty. So they're sitting there. They're hoping, basically, they know there's one other team behind them. They're sitting there on the bench. And, of course, Rupert and Laura show up while they're waiting out their time. And because Laura did sandal, Rupert is the one that got to do the mountain climb. And he just did it slow and steady. They told Laura that they took a penalty. It's 4 hours. And Rupert just climbed his way up, and he made it to the top, got the clue, came down, they took off. Art and JJ knew they were done at that point. And it's funny because JJ was looking at Rupert and is like, how's he doing this? You know, and Art's like, doesn't matter. We're done. So, you can see it's frustrating. I mean, to go from second place to first out, basically, because Phil said, first one at the mat is eliminated. So the first ones in were the Afghanimals. So they won that leg. And the last ones there were Art and JJ, who were eliminated first round out. Which is interesting because they thought they were in actually better shape than they were previously, and they did much better the first time around. So it looks like it's going to be an interesting season because it's the first time Amazing Race has done something like this with all the major reality shows competing against each other. So, and they've got some pretty good teams. They're all pretty competitive. I like the one Team Fun, which is Becca, and hang on, I got my notes here. I forget his name, and Floyd. And what's funny is they were the season where they didn't know each other and they were paired up with each other, if you remember that season. Well, now apparently they're dating, so which is good. So and they did really well last time, so I'm hoping that they'll do well this time too, because they're fun to watch. They came in roughly middle of the pack, so which kind of what they started off with the first time they played too. So they might actually improve on that because they did become contenders the last time they played. So, and who knows, maybe the Afghanimals will actually improve on fourth place, which is what they did twice. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for the episode 1 of The Amazing Race season 31, the reality series challenge, basically. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification buttons up there somewhere, or bell, so you know when I upload. I do Amazing Race once a week, and I do other reality shows too, Survivor and Big Brother, and also MasterChef Canada. See you next week, guys. Bye.